What's up, guys? This is Nick Benson. You can follow me on Twitter at PackerNation2K. Been tweeting on there for a while now, and I had been wanting to start creating some video content for a while now. Just had to get to the point where I could get around to it, and I had all the right things necessary for it. So here I am, starting this new project, and I'm going to start out on YouTube and call this the Pack Nation Podcast. I know there's a lot of great content out there, a lot of great Packers content creators, but in my opinion, you can never have enough Packers content, and it's part of what makes being a Packer fan so great. So I'm going to do my best to provide some insight of what I'm thinking about this team and where things should be going forward, and just, when we're in the season now, some recap of these games, and then just some hot topics, I would say, and some things that are on my mind. So here we are. It's Tuesday. Packers are coming off of a crazy game against the Bengals on Sunday, and I gotta say that's one of the craziest games I've ever seen, and I'll say I've never seen anything like it before. I mean, we've seen some games where, the kickers struggle at the end of games, and typically I feel like these games end in a tie, and I think many people thought that this game on Sunday was going into the tie, which, let's be honest, no one likes a tie, but, the Packers were able to prevail. Mason Crosby, after struggling, this guy, man, I mean, he's a legend. He's an Iron Man. He's a great kicker. And, he had that game winner in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, but once in a while he has a game like this. Everyone wanted to bring up that Detroit game in 2018, but he's had a few other games like this too. It just seems like once in every 3 to 4 year thing, he has a game like this. And, they say that kicking is like a golf game. You get off a little bit and, you're screwed. But I mean, I'll admit myself, I'm not a good golfer, so it's not the best analogy for me. But honestly, Mason Crosby, though, I mean, to come back after all those misses and to make that last kick, that was phenomenal. And, I ride and die with Mason Crosby. This is a guy, the team stuck with him after 2012 when he had a bad season. I mean, it now has become a 1 game every 3 year thing, but, you go back to 2012 and that was just a bad season for him. And, a lot of people are calling for him to be cut, but Mike McCarthy, Ted Thompson stuck with the guy, and you got to give them props for that. Say what you want about Mike McCarthy, say what you want about Ted Thompson, but they stuck with this guy, and if they wouldn't have, he wouldn't still be on this team today, 9 years later. So gotta tip your hat to those guys. And through all these, it's been a wild year so far for the Packers and the NFL in general, but for this team, I mean, it's been well stated, how much the injury bug has hit the Packers this year. The last 2 years, the first 2 years under Matt LaFleur, the team, generally avoided the injury bug, until David Bakhtiari tore his ACL, of course, at the end of the year last year. And now you look at this team and, your all-pro left tackle, David Bakhtiari, goes down. Your Pro Bowl starting offensive lineman who can play every position as your top backup left tackle, Elton Jenkins, goes down. Last week, they're without Josh Myers, their rookie center. So you're without 3/5 of your offensive line, and somehow they make it work with a guy like Josh Neiman, a former undrafted free agent who, if you're not a Packers fan, honestly, if you're not a hardcore Packers fan, you probably don't know who this guy is, but man, he's stepped in there, and he struggled a little bit in this game. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of ready for Jenkins to be back and Bakhtiari to be back. But this guy, he's stepped in and played well. John Runyon Jr. there at left guard. He's got the bloodlines, with his dad being a former NFL Pro Bowl offensive tackle. But this guy, he's stepped in and played well. Lucas Patrick stepped in at center and played solid. And, Royce Newman, as a rookie, that dude's awesome, but he's doing a good job. And I mean, you got to commend the team and, Adam Stenavich, Luke Buckus for how they're coaching this offensive line. It's phenomenal. You know, a lot of other teams in the league can't field 5 quality starters, and the Packers seem to have enough depth to have 2 starting offensive lines. It's crazy. But I mean, you know, aside from the offensive line, you know, you're missing your deep threat, Marcus Valdes-Scantling. You're missing your H-back tight end and fullback tight Dominic Daphne. You're missing your all-pro pass rusher, Zadarius Smith. Now your all-pro cornerback, Jair Alexander. Your cornerback 2, Kevin King. Say what you want about him, but he's a veteran and he's played well in the past. Kevin King. You know, and Chris Barnes missed a game. It's just all these guys that have missed games, and you know, the fact that they're 4-1 right now is just a testament to the coaching on this team, to the leadership on this team. And honestly, if you got 12, you got 17, 33, I mean, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to have a chance. And that being said, you know, the Packers are 2 very close game-winning field goal wins away from being 2-3. So that's the disparity in this league of how close you can be between being a division leader, you know, in the driver's seat of what you want to accomplish towards starting the season in a rut. And, you know, it's crazy. But, you know, this team is going to keep fighting, and you got a big game at Chicago this week, which we know the Packers against the Bears, that's something that the Packers have dominated, obviously, since Aaron Rodgers came into the league, honestly, since Brett Favre became the Packers starter in '92. The Packers, for the most part, have owned the Bears. But I don't want to take this game lightly. I don't think the Packers are taking this game lightly. They shouldn't. I mean, this Bears team, you know, as much struggles as they have, it's on the road. These games are always close. Their defense is playing well. Justin Fields has some intrigue. You know, they ran the ball last week despite David Montgomery not being available. You know, this team isn't going to be easy. The Packers can't just roll into town next week and expect to get a W. So we'll see how it goes, but Packers just got to keep this thing going. You know, get this win, beat Washington football team the week after that. If you're 6-1 heading into the meat of this schedule, you know, you're feeling pretty good. But first things first, get these dubs. And another thing I want to talk about today relating to those injuries specifically is the cornerback position. Obviously, they've been hit very hard with Jair and now Kevin King getting hurt in that game. And, you know, it leaves you with Eric Stokes, who he's been balling. I mean, let's not deny it. He's having a great year for a rookie. That being said, he is still a rookie. Ideally, you don't want this guy as your cornerback 1, but with the way he's playing, I think he could be a cornerback 1 this year. I mean, Jamar Chase, tip your hat to him. That guy is phenomenal. I mean, you talk about this game we just saw on Sunday. You could have had the best receiver in the game, one of the best ever, eventually maybe in Devontae Adams, but then the next could be Jamar Chase. I mean, that's how good Jamar Chase can be, especially with Joe Burrow as his quarterback, with that chemistry they already had dating back to their days at LSU. I mean, it's phenomenal, but you gotta say, like Eric Stokes, he's playing great, but, you know, outside of that, there's question marks right now. You know, we don't know exactly the extent of Kevin King's injury right now, but I have a hard time believing he's going to play this week. So that leaves you with Stokes. We know Chandon Sullivan can play the slot, and honestly, I think he's a guy you can get by with. He's not a superstar. He's not a guy who's going to wow you, but generally, you don't hear a lot from the guy. He does his job. So you got him in the nickel. I think you can get by with him, but at that cornerback 2, you know, Isaac Yiadom, you got Russell Douglas, who, you know, they'll probably have active this week now after he's had a week to implement himself and get acquainted with the system and whatnot. But the team brought in Quentin Dunbar today. You still got Shamar John Charles. You know, it's a lot of, you know, veterans but the good thing is they have experience. Personally, I like Douglas and I like Dunbar better than I like Adam at this point. Now, one could say, well, you've seen Adam on the field as a Packer, you haven't seen Douglas, and you haven't seen Dunbar. True, but if you ask me, if this was a clean slate, new season, who do I like better? Give me Douglas, give me Dunbar. Rasul Douglas is a guy I really liked in the draft a few years back. He was a third-round pick out of West Virginia. That guy is just a physical corner. I mean, he plays hard. He's kind of bounced around the league recently, so obviously there's that concern there. But, I thought he's played well at times. I thought he played well in Philly at times when he had the chance. And do I expect this guy to be the savior? No, I don't. But could he maybe be a solid guy on the opposite side of Eric Stokes until Kevin King and hopefully hope and pray Jai Alexander comes back? Maybe. I think there's a chance. Quentin Dunbar, is more of a guy who's been kind of a ball hawk in his career, and I think he's played well at times, but he had a season-ending injury at the end of last year and has come back and has bounced around a little bit, hasn't stuck anywhere, and that makes you wonder, did the guy not come back from his injury well? Our team just giving up on him early? I mean, obviously, you sign a guy to your practice squad who's been cut by a couple teams, you've got some trepidation there too, but, that does give me some hope, though. I do think that there's also a chance the team could go out and sign another free agent. Trey Flowers just got cut by Seattle today. Keep your eyes out for that. I can see the Packers attempting to put in a claim for him. A lot of experience there. So honestly, at this point, with these guys they're bringing in and, the potential of bringing other guys in, it's the analogy of just throw things at the wall until something sticks. Like at this point, that's what you got to do. So Packers need to just figure that out, and some teams are gonna work them for it. You hope they get it figured out here in these next 2 weeks, playing a young quarterback in Justin Fields, and then Taylor Heineke for Washington before they have to play Kyler Murray and some of these other great quarterbacks they have to play later in the year. So you gotta hope that, but you also have to be pretty encouraged with how they played on Sunday. Despite, not having Jair, and despite King getting hurt, and despite playing a team that has arguably the best receiving trio in the game there with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins in Cincinnati. So going forward, we hope for the best, but we'll see what happens there. Additionally, I wanted to talk about the offense, and, we know Davante Adams is a legend. We know this guy is unreal. We know this guy is unguardable, and it's like the other defenses know it. He's getting open. It's great, and we love that Randall Cobb is making big plays, and that Rodgers to Cobb connection has come back, and we have a slot receiver for the first time since he left after 2018. That being said, there's some other good complementary guys in this offense. And last year, those guys were getting the ball. This offense just seemed to be humming. And this year, it just seems like there's been a little bit of trepidation there, to hit some of these other guys. I feel like Rodgers is kind of staring down Adams. He's kind of staring down Cobb. When you got guys like Alan Lazard and Big Bob Tonyan and, MVS was getting his pub, when he was in there. He's obviously been out the past couple of weeks, but, they have other weapons in this offense they can use. It's nice to see A.J. Dillon get involved in the passing game. I mean, this guy, A.J. Dillon, he's got hands on top of all that power he has, that skill, instinctive vision as a runner. He's looking good, but, I feel like he can still get more involved. So, Alan Lazard, honestly, we know he's not a world beater as an athlete. We know he's not, a 4.2 40 guy there at receiver, but this guy has made some plays. He's a big, reliable, strong target for Rodgers. He blocks. That dude will block. He's the best blocking receiver in the game, if you ask me. And the team loves him. He's made some big plays, going back to last year in that divisional victory over the Rams. He goes over the top and he gets a long touchdown when the team needs it to put the Rams away. You look back to 2019, that game he came in against Detroit, when Rodgers called him in, he's like, I want this guy. The receivers weren't playing great back then, and they didn't have a lot of options, but this guy came off the bench and just, the team doesn't win the game without him. He made plays. So get Alan Lazard the ball. He's been open. It would be one thing if this guy, didn't have the mental side of the game down, if he had some drop issues in the past, but Alan Lazard's a player. Alan Lazard's a guy who has been open, and Rodgers, for whatever reason, has been trying to force the ball to Adams, force it to Cobb. Hit Lazard, man. Just hit him. Hit Big Bob Tonyan. Last year, 11 touchdowns. Tied the Packers' single-season record for most touchdown catches by a tight end. Good athlete. Caught everything in camp. Just great player. And I know that Rodgers has missed him, a few times. It's not that they haven't always targeted him, but honestly, he needs to be involved in the game more. He had one catch for 8 yards against Cincinnati, but it was a great catch for a first down on the sideline. It's crazy to me that Bobby, has been held under 10 yards in 4 of the 5 games this year. Detroit's the only game that he really made a huge impact in the receiving game. But get Alan Lazard the ball. Get Bobby Tonyan the ball. It's hard. It's one of those things, it's hard for me to say as a fan. Obviously, you're going to target Devontae Adams because he's next level good. You're going to target Randall Cobb because you trust the guy. But hit your other guys, and those other guys are in there. Even Amari Rodgers, give him some opportunities if he's out there and running a route. He's in that Tyler Ervin role. If you're Matt LaFleur, I would love to see them, give him some opportunities on some reverse plays. I think that he could be great in that role. I think he could add another dimension to this offense. So at this point, that's what I would say are my 2 biggest thought points right now on the Packers. The depth of this team in general, but that cornerback room, how are they going to step up? And then, Rodgers spreading that ball around. But, another thing is it's only week 5. The Packers have time to to get this thing rolling. The Packers have time to revert back to their 2020 form. So I really do think that things are going to start clicking here. These next 2 weeks, even though they're going to be favored, definitely can't just roll out of bed and win these games. So it's going to be a big deal, and I just hope the Packers wake up, as Matt LaFleur said, with their piss hot. So anyways, thank you for watching, guys. It's been a fun first video experience, and I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm going to be back next week with a brand new episode, if not before then. So thanks for watching. Once again, you can follow me on Twitter, PackerNation2K. This is Nick Benson with the Pack Nation podcast. Anyways, go Pack, go. Thanks, guys.